Wow, what an event. FCR did it again. They brought another blockbuster event. And honestly, it's my fault for wearing a light suit at a Tobias Harila fight because I'm going to have to take this to the dry cleaners. But CM, what a thrill ride of emotions and violence we experienced here tonight.
For sure, for sure. Back and forth fight. They really stood in the pocket. That main event was all that we could have hoped for. You could see that Kirtadze, he was a little frustrated about the decision. I feel like a draw makes a fair bit of sense, but you know, I have to watch the fight back. It was just violence through and through. A moment that sticks out is, of course, the ground and pound from Tobias Harila. You could see in the eyes of Kirtadze that he was out of it for a second. And
yeah, his eyes rolled back a little bit. He was so close to defeat. And let's take a look at some of the highlights from this because, I mean, it feels like we went through a fight just sitting, watching this from the sidelines, kicking things off, literally. Abdurrahman Nasrutdinov with that brutal body shot.
I mean, it feels like we've seen so many fights. It feels like this was yesterday. Abdurrahman Nasrutdinov dominating Liparteliani and really put on a show just like the showman he is. Violent ground and pound to boot to end the fight there. And flyweights, beware.
Yeah, and I mean, really making a statement with that fight. Could not have asked for a better performance to return to. And then we had a unfortunate ending to what was looking to be a fantastic fight between Fadi Faraj and Safi Husseini.
Yes, great fight by both competitors. But here in the finishing sequence that I think we're going to see is Faraj actually knocking out Husseini, but as he's on the ground, he kicks him right in the head. What a mistake. As we have a look here, boom. That is not allowed in MMA. Landed flush in the head. You can see that Faraj really felt it. The moment it happened, he was like, oh my God, why did I do that? And who knows, maybe a rematch will be in the books in the future.
I mean, I would love to see it. It was a great fight for as long as it lasted. Fadi Faraj, not a dirty fighter by any means. It was just an accident. Even after that, one of the contenders for Fight of the Night, but there's going to be a lot of them as Zoran Milich returned in epic fashion.
Yes, great win by Zoran Milich. Very, very impressed by the heart of Kirtadze here, as he was being kind of dominated in the beginning, but then came back. And he didn't come to lose, but he did lose here tonight. Zoran Milich looked better than ever and is back here at FCR.
And back in the mix in what is now a stacked flyweight division. I feel like there's so many fights leading up that we can get off of this. But then, of course, speaking of titles and stuff like that, a perhaps new title contender has emerged at featherweight as Baysangur Makayev looked better than ever against Valtteri Heikkinen.
Yeah, very, very dominant, especially in the wrestling. But I was very impressed by how much he was mixing it up on the feet, changing levels, really giving a lot of different looks to Valtteri Heikkinen. However, Heikkinen did tap out because some kind of injury to his jaw that Baysangur caused.
Yeah, I think it was that haymaker of a right hand that connected as Baysangur was going back down, and the pain just too much for Heikkinen to bear, and a very worthy contender emerged after that. And then, you know, we're talking about rematches, and we might have to see a rematch next between Alexander Love and Andrei Tishenko, because they gave us a very closely contested, I'd say the closest bout that we saw tonight.
For sure. Extremely evenly matched, and we saw that as well. I believe that Alexander Love edged it out in the third with a little more, some more combinations, moving forward, being a little bit more aggressive as Tishenko was standing at range, trying to land those ones, and it looked like Love was kind of mimicking him a little bit. They were just standing as, you know, southpaw versus orthodox, mirror image, just exchanging ones. A lot of respect between these two, and yes, like Love said, how about a rematch in the tournament in Cage Warriors?
I'm down for that. Whether it's here or in Cage Warriors, either way, it'll be a great, great fight. And how can you not feel a little bit of something for the newly crowned FCR flyweight champion, Rohula Yusufi, making his father proud, who I'm sure is looking down with nothing but pride and happiness.
What a moment. And like I said in the show as well, FCR has really built a story here, really shared a story. And so that we were so invested in this title fight. Johnny Tuma looked great. He got dropped, but he looked great. He got back up in that second round, but here in the finishing sequence, he's with it, but there, he's out. He's out there, and it was a good stoppage. I know that Johnny Tuma was very disappointed because he felt like he wasn't out, but he wasn't defending himself at that particular moment. Ruhula Yusufi and New.
I just truly, we see Hollywood scripts played out inside the cage every time we have it. And then, speaking of Hollywood scripts, a complete action blockbuster from start to finish as Tobias Harila welcomed Levan Kirtadze to the cage.
Yes, and at first it looked like Kirtadze was like, hey, I'm not going to take any damage, I'm here to wrestle. But then I think he felt the strength of Harila, knew that he couldn't just wrestle his way to a win. And here we saw Harila on top, landing vicious ground and pound. And here towards the end, they were just standing in the pocket and trading. And, you know, Harila has been talking about bare knuckle fighting, and his face looked like he had been through a bare knuckle fight. So,
I mean, he probably got a little bit of a taste of what is potentially to come. I mean, me personally, I would love to see him for at least another couple fights inside the MMA cage, but at the end of the day, it's his career, his decision, and we will support him no matter what. And wow, I'm going to need to sit down and catch my breath after what we just went through. So many great fights, so many finishes, as I'm sure you've all come to expect from Fight Club Rush at this point. And I don't think I have anything more to add to this. I guess you guys will tune in on September 7th when we return to Stockholm with an event that will surely match this in some way or another. Until then, have a good night, everybody. This was Sebastian Vendel-Martinez and CM Andersson, and we will catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining us and that you enjoyed the fights.